There was a time in my life where I did not know my place in society, let alone my place as a Muslim woman with disabilities. I was led to believe that I could not be involved in society due to my external inabilities and how there was no place for me. But then there's Islam, telling us that this life is a test and how we have to make the best of this life for the betterment of our afterlife. How we should get out of our nest in spite of the challenges faced, as we are destined to fly our way into society. How it's our purpose and duty. I, however, did not know how to fulfill my duty. I did not know how to be involved. I did not know how to overcome my external challenges or how to leave my nest and fly. I first noticed that I was different when I was 4, when I was pleased to be around those my age, when I got to see my peers run when I couldn't, when they could climb the stairs and I couldn't, when they could breathe with ease and I couldn't. I grew puzzled and confused, where confusion only seemed to grow. I was made to attend sports day year after year with my classmates, where I was unable to catch up. My teachers would let me start the racing line 3 minutes earlier, where every time I thought that I would be able to reach the finish line before everyone else. But I was wrong. Every time my classmates would catch up, and every time I would finish the race last, not only by a few seconds, by a few minutes. I couldn't understand or comprehend why Allah would not allow me to catch up, why I was unable to properly run or climb the stairs, why I had to wear the breathing machine when laying down. Why did I have to be perceived as different compared to others? Why did I have to be cast aside, or why did I have to be left out instead of being left in? Why was I made to feel helpless without Allah's help? I had questions, but no answers, where year after year, doctors and even parents did not understand what happened to my health or how to prevent further challenges. I started to slowly lose hope, where every year the amount of health complications seemed to rise. It felt like I had to spend an extra day, week, or month at the hospital every time. A place where I was locked and cast away from society, leaving me unable to physically break free. My body did not only feel chained, but my soul, where I thought that I had no place or role in society, where I believed that I was not good enough, nor did I think that I had anything that I could do that could be useful, that it became really difficult for me to be grateful over the circumstance I was in. My helplessness turned into hopelessness, which in turn turned me to feel ungrateful. At the age of 7, I came across Islamic books at the hospital, books on the prophets and the companions and how they cope with their challenges in life, how they felt grateful and said Alhamdulillah in times of good and in times of bad. At the time, I did not really understand why they said Alhamdulillah in times of bad. However, I was given a glimmer of hope due to how they were involved in society, that I also had a place in society, that I could be useful. But when I was let out of the hospital, I came to find out that things were not the same, that things were different. I came across a society where there was exclusion over inclusion, where there was discouragement over encouragement, where there was lack of hope instead of hope. All of this was cast upon women more over men due to how they were perceived as weak. I thought I was the weakest of all women due to my disability. Therefore, I felt more useless and had less right. This heightened my ungratefulness. This ungratefulness got me nowhere, other than causing me to cage myself within my negativity and drown within my thoughts. I just could not seem to understand why the Muslims in the past felt grateful in times of bad. At the age of 8, I was in the hospital again. I had been in the hospital for 4 months, where I complained bitterly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for locking me up. I have ever came across another Islamic book, a book that showed me the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said that a Muslim should look at others going through more challenges than us, and that we should feel grateful over our circumstance, and that a Muslim should look at those that are higher in piety, so that we can feel determined to internally grow in gratitude and righteousness. I looked up and glanced over the children around me. Some couldn't walk, and some were in the hospital for years, when I was only there for a few months. I knew a child who was around 4 or 5 years old, and he was there ever since he was born. He never ever set foot outside the hospital. He couldn't even sit up. And his mother, I never seen his mother in the 4 years I was in the hospital. She kind of abandoned him. And I realized that there were more children suffering than me. There were a lot more. I wasn't the only one suffering. And that helped me stop being ungrateful. I wanted to focus on the things that I had. I wanted to not complain anymore. And I looked at the stories of the Prophet to help me be patient and to help me feel hope. When thinking all that, the doctor came, where he said that I might have to stay in the hospital for a few more months. I felt really upset and complained to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that why do I have to stay for more than 4 months? However, at the same time, I realized that I had been complaining for the last 4 months. I also realized after reading the book that the children around me were suffering so much more, and that the prophets suffered too, but were patient. They were patient. And I was just complaining, and it didn't get me anywhere. It rather drowned me in negativity. I then decided to change my strategy. I was a child at the time, so I prayed, and I set a deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I set a deal with Him. I said, I would be grateful, and I would be patient, but Allah, you should help me, get me out from this place. If you help me be patient, if I be patient, and if I be grateful, you should promise me that you will get me out of this place and help me go back into society. That was my deal. I was a child, so I know it sounds kind of childish, but I made a deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I tried to internally break free from my negativity. I tried for the first time to be grateful and patient. I felt grateful by being involved with the children around me to help me focus on the things that I had. And I also looked at the lives of the prophets to help me be patient. The next day, the very next day, the doctor came in and checked how I was. He scratched his head out of confusion and said that everything seemed suddenly okay. Like, I was okay. I mean, the day before, he told me that I would be in the hospital for months. And the next day, he came saying that I don't know, I just seem okay, so I'm allowed to go. So, instead of staying in the hospital for months, I was now let go home the next day. SubhanAllah, when I think back, I think that's when I first understood the importance of being grateful and patient. I was able to suddenly feel patient in times of bad, not only in times of good. I realized that in order to externally be free, we must firstly break free internally from our negativity. We have to, so that we can be involved in society, so we can be able to grow. How can we grow if we chain ourselves back? How can we grow if we keep bickering and complaining and focusing on the things that we don't have when there's so many things that we have? Alhamdulillah, from that day on, I was not kept in the hospital for months. I've not been in the hospital for months ever since then. Alhamdulillah, and may Allah protect me. And also from that day on, I was able to understand the importance of being grateful and patient. The importance of being grateful in times of good and in times of bad. Because you don't know. Our tests are there to build us up. We might not be able to see it at the time, but it's there to build us up. So we should feel grateful. I did not only want to feel grateful and patient. I wanted to show it. I showed it by trying to not give up, to overcome life's challenges in spite of how hard life may be. I returned back to school after the age of 8. And instead of feeling bothered by exclusion and not being able to do things, I did not feel bothered at all. I felt more focused over my goals and aspirations in life. Whenever I felt friendless, I would try to remind myself that like Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, Allah too was my friend, that He will never leave me alone, and He will never leave anyone alone if we turn to Him, if we believe that He will help us, if we try to be patient, if we try and never give up and have hope. Have hope. Believe in Allah. Believe that He is fair, that He is kind, that He has given you gifts for you to use, for you to overcome challenges in life. This attitude and focus helped me pull through. Whenever discouraged, I felt encouraged. The more someone tried to discourage me, the more I felt encouraged. Doctors would try to discourage me. Teachers would try to discourage me. There were some teachers that would not even allow me to apply to university. They wouldn't allow me because they thought that I would not be able to manage it physically. However, when looking at the lives of the Prophet, I felt that it was my duty as a Muslim to not give up, that I had to keep on striving, that I had to show that I was grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by using the little strength that I had, that I had to seek my education so that I could then contribute in society, that I had to be patient regardless of the external circumstance I moved in.